Buford and Lancaster kick off the season with big wins, but Andrew Jackson and Indianland head into Week 2 hoping to get in the win column. Hello, I'm Hammond Knight. Thanks for joining us for Week 1 of the Playbook. On today's show, Andrew Jackson coach CJ Frye gives his take on the Vols' tough 36-6 loss to Louisville. Buford head coach Tripp Watts reviews the Jackets' 35-6 win over Franklin Christian, and Indianland coach Mike Mayer and Lancaster coach Joe Watson each replay the first ever meeting of the Bruins and Warriors, a 47-10 victory for Lancaster. And of course, all the coaches share their views on the upcoming games this Friday night. So stay tuned and we'll be right back with the Playbook.
I'm sorry.
I have to go to class.
I forgot to do it.
Where's my homework?
I don't have it.
Well, you need to have it.
Really?
Every day.
I know that, but I forgot. Just gonna let me get bullied like that?
It ain't none of my business.
I don't have it.
You need to do it right now then.
No, look, I don't have it.
Well, you need to have it.
I'm sorry, I can't today.
Where's my homework?
I don't have it. Really?
Yes.
Have my book. Just gonna let me get bullied too. Don't have it. I done told you this.
If you don't have my homework, you know what's going to happen to you?
What's that?
Where's my homework?
I do not have it.
Well, you need to have it.
I'm sorry, but I can't.
Why?
Because I don't have time to do it today.
Where's my homework?
I do not have it.
Well,
Hey, you need to leave Josh alone and do your own homework.
And who are you?
I'm not them.
I don't have time for this.
It takes 10 seconds to not be a bystander and stop bullying. You good, man?
Yeah, I'm straight.
Andrew Jackson just couldn't find a way to cage the Louisville Lions last Friday night. The powerful Lion running game and a stingy Lion defense were just too much for the Volunteers, and Andrew Jackson fell 36-6 to Louisville. Joining me is the Playbook's Nike Brown to get Coach CJ Frye's thoughts on the tough loss. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, talk a little bit about your offense Friday night. It definitely struggled, but what are some of the things that you were able to do successfully?
Well, we did struggle. We lost our quarterback in the first quarter, and he's going to be out for the season. So, we planned all week to throw the ball a little bit. They were in cover one. They lined up in a six-man front, so we felt like we could throw the ball a little bit to win to win some one-on-one battles. We came back and had to adjust. And second half, we got into two tight end set and kind of ran the ball down the field a little bit and put a ball in the end zone, run the ball, which gave us some life. But we got to find a way to get a gunslinger, somebody who can throw the ball and maybe call some plays and get some things done for us up front.
Coach, tell us about your running offense last Friday.
Majority of our running offense came from the quarterback actually running the football. Again, with them having so many men in the box, with 6 men in the box, in order to get 6 blockers, we use our tailback and fullbacks as extra blockers instead of running backs. So the majority of our runs, quarterback-wise, running plays-wise, end up being quarterback runs, which is one of the injuries that we suffered from our quarterback running a power, to which they had a pretty good defensive line there. Belk, their defensive tackle, is a junior. He's ranked in the country, and he came and he administered a pretty good hit to where my quarterback's out for the season. So we got to find some other ways to run the football, but this is a good football team, good front, and they played well.
Well, talk about what losing a quarterback this early in the season does to an offense, and I know it's going to be a big struggle.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had some success throwing the ball all summer and 7-on-7s, and we traveled around to different FCA camps and went down to the University of South Carolina, competed well, and we spent a lot of time on our passing game, and it's kind of one of those deals where we're trying to find the next man up, and we got 2 young guys that are freshmen, that we're going to try out, and then we have Heath Gandy, which is our all around player, athlete wise, and we're going to give him a chance to have the ball in his hand as much as possible.
Tell us about the penalties this week and how bad did they hurt you?
Well, penalties hurt. we had some foolish penalties late in the game where I believe my team was frustrated with some of the things that happened earlier to where the score reflected 20-0, and they acted out because again you work all summer long, you get in the weight room, and you believe you're going to produce at a higher rate, and some of the frustration started to show. We had some foolish penalties when it came to personal fouls that moved them along offensively down the field. Early in the game, we gave up 2 touchdown passes, a screen pass that went for 80 yards, and a wheel route where their quarterback, dropped a 40-yard bomb down the field, and put 2 in the end zone early in the first quarter, which made it 14-0. After that, defense settled down pretty good, forced two punts, but the next time they came out, we got a pass interference call that moved them on down the field again to where they scored. So, pass defense-wise, we got to do a better job when it comes to coming up and tackling and coverage-wise, not getting to the 1-1 coverage and keeping them in front of us. But penalty-wise, the pass interference hurt early, which gave them another score. And then later on, 2 unsportsmanlike penalties moved them again 30 yards down the field, which, really is difficult.
I know that's got to be difficult. How can you correct some of those things that you talked about with the penalties? I know it's hard, them not necessarily being some frustration penalties. How do you try to work on that with your players? Right.
I mean, again, the pass interference we can work on with technique and playing the ball in the air. The frustration penalties where it's personal fouls. I got to do a better job of explaining to my teammates, my players. The play's gonna come your way. There's no reason to take a cheap shot on a quarterback late or hit a kid out of bounds. There's gonna be plenty of opportunity to play with your pads on the field, and we have to have a better positive outlook on and play the game with character and pride and certain words and things that we have to build amongst these young men to allow them to understand that, hey, we're not in this for cheap situations. We're in this to play a good football game, and your character speaks louder than your words when it comes to how you play the football game.
Your team went into the half losing 20-0. What did you say to make your players come out playing better the second half?
Well, I explained to them that we're a better football team than this. 2 plays put 14 points on the board, and then again, the penalties moved them down the field the other time. We say over and over again, if AJ doesn't beat AJ, we're in this football game over and over again. But we can't go out and just gift wrap 14 points and then give penalties away to where we handed them 20 points to start a football game. Also, I had to go in and say, hey, I need some guys who are going to line up and fight with us. We got to rally around the fact that we just lost a quarterback to where we can't throw the football. So I need some guys to say, hey, let's knock some guys off the ball and run the ball downhill and come out and fight the second half.
Well, that's the nature of the game. You got to move on to next week. So traveling to Ainer, what do you expect from the Blue Jackets?
Well, they're a good football team. They line up in a heavy formation. They have about the splits to where they're about a foot to foot, and they come off the ball downhill. They run a bunch of dives and powers, and every now and then they'll mix in a play action pass, a corner route that they've scored on over and over again because they lull you to sleep with all the dives and all the foot to foot running game. So. They'll go on drives where they'll take a whole quarter, 20-play drives going 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So we got to find a way to get in there and get tough and play solid defense up front with our D line to force some punts. Defensively, they try to trick you with the defensive front. Sometimes they line up with 5 men at the line of scrimmage. They only rush 3, or sometimes they rush 4. And bring a linebacker and drop a couple guys. We're really trying to get a beat on maybe how to take advantage of the defensive front.
It's a two and a half hour bus ride to Ainer.
Ainer.
It's a tough one. What would you do to keep that bus ride to keep your players keep them focused on the bus ride there?
Well, we're gonna take 2 buses, and we're gonna pack a lunch, and we're gonna eat on the road, and we're gonna get there early enough to walk around and get our legs back under us. So we'll have a chance to get there and meet a little bit and walk around, have a walk through, and get focused. So with us leaving early enough, we'll be okay with time-wise.
First time you played Andrew since 2008, not a regular opponent. How does that change the way your staff has to prepare to play these guys? Well,
it doesn't change in our preparation when it comes to the actual team. You know, we have to prepare for what's on film and what we're going to face. You know, this is a different type of offense that we're going to face. So practice time wise, we got to spend a little bit more time with our defensive line of how we want to play this technique wise. You know, it can't be one of those deals where it's see ball, chase ball, because you don't know what the ball is, first off. So it has to be, you know, hey, we got to be technically sound up front with what we're doing. It can't be a selfish day where you're chasing the ball. You have to do your job and do your reads, or else it's going to be a long day.
Last week, Andrew beat Marion High 22-14. What do you see in the tape that will will work on this week for your team to be prepared?
Well, Marion ran the ball well on them, and so that's something that we're going to attempt to do, to run the football. Also, you know, offensively, again, you know, they were foot to foot and they were running the ball downhill, and you know, Marion attempted to be physical up front, and that's something that I keep going over and over again with my D-line and my D-line coach that, hey, we got to be physical, we got to take on these blocks a certain way, and you know, establish a new line of scrimmage. And if we don't establish a new line of scrimmage, then that's them establishing a new line of scrimmage over and over and over again. So, you know, we think we did a great job in this summer with the weight room. And, you know, I told my team up front, hey, this is going to be a weight room conditioning day. And so we're going to have to be able to roll some defensive linemen. And you don't know when your name's going to be called, but you're going to be a valuable part of this defensive plan.
Talk about how that changes the game a little bit when you got one team that obviously wants to run the football like Andrew does, and your ability to throw the football maybe a little bit limited. Does it change the strategy in any way, knowing maybe it's a short game and maybe it's going to be a little tougher on your linemen on both sides of the ball?
Well, I mean, I'm a lineman guy, so, you know, in my mind, yeah, I don't mind a run versus run offense. You know, we're going to run against them, they're going to run against us. So, you know, we're hoping for a good run game for us offensively and a good run stopping game defensively, and that's a perfect picture for us.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
The Killer Bees came to life last Friday night to put a 35-6 stinging on Franklin Christian. Up next, Coach Tripp Watts joins us to report Buford big win, so stay tuned.
It's not about being black.
It's not about being white.
'Cause we're human.
I just sent a message to 5 of my friends. Those 5 friends were all driving on their way here whenever I sent the message. My 5 friends killed 2 families, one of which had a newborn child. All because I sent 2 texts. I just didn't know they were driving. Because my friends were texting and driving, 8 people died. We know texting and driving kills, but we still do it anyway.
Out with my friend, but I still do my schoolwork. I like to shop, but I still do my schoolwork. I'm a band geek, but I still do my schoolwork. I got a job, but I still do my schoolwork. Talk too much, but I still do my schoolwork. Work hard, play hard, still do my schoolwork. I don't turn up because I'm focused on my schoolwork. And you're such a white guy, you know I do my schoolwork. Schoolwork. I still do my schoolwork. I like to shop, but I still do my schoolwork. I'm a band geek, but I still do my schoolwork. I got a job, but I still do my schoolwork. Talk too much, but I still do my schoolwork.
Man, look at these fools reading out here.
I know, right? Look at all of them.
Oh my gosh.
What you reading, bro?
What is this? I'm about to put this fool on Snapchat, man.
Put me on Snapchat, bro? All right. We'll put this on Snapchat.
Now watch me read, watch me study. 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 Now watch me, ooh, watch me, ooh, watch me, ooh, watch me, ooh, watch me. Now watch me read, watch me study. Now watch me read, watch me study. Now watch me.
Reading is one of the keys to success. Approximately 50% of the nation's unemployed youth ages 16 to 21 are functional literates, with virtually no prospects of obtaining good jobs. So you know what that means. You gotta read. Reading is just not a part of school. It's a lifestyle. So watch me read.
Flip the page, read a book. I read books and stuff like that. Shout out to all the books.
It's been 3 years since the Buford Yellow Jackets opened the season with a win. But Friday night, the Killer Bees were swarming, rolling up 315 total yards of offense and holding the Franklin Christian Cavaliers to just 90 yards and 6 points. And the Yellow Jackets came away with a 35-6 win. Joining me is the Playbook's Nike Brown to get Coach Tripp Watts' take on the big Buford win. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Good to be here.
Well, we already said it a couple times, 315 yards of total offense, 35 points. Talk about your offense and what you were able to get done Friday night.
Offensively, we had a pretty good ball game. 315 total yards, and that's with the fourth quarter just really running because bad weather was about to come in. Our guys offensively was able to throw the ball well. We ran the ball decent with Isaiah, had 122 yards rushing. Ryan, for his first start, threw for 175 yards, 10 for 15. I'm asking him to throw 50% better, and he threw way better than 50%. We offensively we got rolling, and defensively we played well too.
As you said, you were 10 for 15 for pass for 175 yards. Tell us about your passing night.
We've transitioned more to a passing game this season than we have in the last 2 seasons under me. We've been better passing the ball in the preseason, and we went in with our game plan. Throw the ball first, and then we'll see what happens in a run game. And if one's working, and the other one's gonna work. If the other one's working, then the other one's gonna work. It just kind of works that way. But being a junior in his first start, he threw the ball very well.
I know passing the ball is something you wanted to do at Buford for a long time, and it was a big transition when you first got there. Do you feel like your passing game's getting to that point where you can really lean on it like you've leaned on the running game in the past? I
think it is. I think it's getting to the point where we throw 15 to 20 times a game. In my perfect world, I like to throw it every down. You can't do that. You got to keep people honest. And our quarterback completing 10 or 15 passes, other coaches look at us and, these guys can actually throw the football now. We got to cover before we try to stop the run, and that just opens the run game. But we got 6, 7 receivers that can go down and get the football. We haven't had that at Buford in the past. Last year we had a good, decent receiving corps, but this year I think probably the best it's been since I've been there.
I know one of the big issues has been drops in the past. Do you feel like you got some guys that really have some sure hands and you can count on them to catch those easy ones most of the time.
I think we had one drop.
Nice.
One drop this past Friday. And it was a ball that was it was over his head. It hit his hand. I fussed at him, if it hits your hands, you better catch the football. But really, it wasn't the kid's fault. I mean, he tried to climb the ladder, so to speak, and get the football. But we count that as a drop. But it's, we don't have much drop balls anymore, and we're throwing short stuff and then kind of baiting you in to get the deep stuff. Like I said, I got 5 or 6, maybe 7 guys, but our starting 4, they're running all under 4.7s. We don't see that much at Buford, but we got a one receiver that's 6'5", and he's about a 4'6" guy, 4'7" guy, and he can fly. Plays defensive end for us too. And that's just hard to stop. Then you got the three little guys. They can maneuver through defenses, and that helps us. That helps us a lot. The only big thing about it is we just don't have a lot of depth. So those guys have to turn right around and play defense. So I like to slow it down just a little bit, but my offense is high pain, high fast stuff. But that's just the type of stuff we run.
Buford's Shalyn Wright was a big problem for their defense Friday night. How does he compare with other players you had in your career, and what will you do this week in practice to help other players make big plays?
Shalyn Wright's a talented football player. Shalyn can throw, he can catch, he can kick. He does anything we ask from him. He was much like, I don't know if you remember this guy, but Evan Buckshot Flynn, we had a couple seasons ago, who could do everything for us. When you got somebody like that, you got a special player. At times he can get a little wild with his mind, but that's any teenage kid at this point in the time. But he's matured since last season to this season, and that's the biggest thing with Shalyn. He's special, and he's not even our best receiver. And that's the crazy thing. Our best receiver is Riley Blackman. He's just coming off a broke wrist. So, I mean, he did get a little work on Friday, but not much. But Shalyn stepped up. Shalyn is actually going to take some snaps as a quarterback this Friday. So we'll see what he could do.
Coach, you already talked a little bit about the running game, but let's talk a little more. Isaiah Nesbitt, he's been doing it on both sides of the ball for you for a long time. Talk about him as a player and what he can do.
Isaiah is a special kind of player. He runs hard, runs behind his pads. He's just special. He hit a hole. I think it was 60 yards out. We ran a little trap and he hit the hole. He was gone. He's been able to do that his whole career for us. And we thought we lost him in the first scrimmage. We thought, and he got hit in the neck, and we thought it was going to be really bad. But it was just a stinger. So he was able to come back. It was his first game back. First game actually be his first time he came back out on the field. He had a great game, 122 yards rushing on 13 carries. A lot of people think, you hear Buford football, you're talking about running 30, 40 times. We don't do that anymore. If he can run the ball and our quarterbacks, Ryan and Shalyn, can run the ball, it could be a big year for us.
In the past, you have opened your season up against Indian Land and played them twice every season. How you plan playing them only once in the season, game changer, will prepare you for Indian Land? For Indian Land.
Just playing them once, that's better than playing them twice. 'Cause I don't like seeing the same team twice, not unless you see them in the playoffs. And we will never see Indian Land in the playoffs again because we're in 2 different classifications. But we do play them the same week we played them last year, week 1. We just started a week early this year, and to play a team like we did Friday night and to get a win under our belts is confidence going into Indian Land. We've had trouble with Indian Land. In my career at Buford, we were 1-3 against Indian Land, and I've stressed numbers with our team this week. The last game of the season, Indian Land rushed for 200 yards on it. You go throughout our high school this week and you'll see 200 all over our walls. That's just reminding them, telling them this is what they did to you last time. This is, don't let this happen this Friday.
Going into Indian Land, tell us a little bit about what you expect from this football team. It's a little different from the one they fielded last year.
They're a good football team. Offensively, I think they're probably one of the better Indian Land football teams I've seen. They return a lot of starters. I know up front, I think they got some young guys, but skill-wise, I think everybody's back. Number 2's back. I think they lost Austin Gordon last year, number 35, but they still got a big old back there, 49. He can run the ball too. They'll line up in the I set. They'll line up they'll spread you out. They do some good things. Defensive-wise, They're just trying to cause havoc. I mean, they're just trying to confuse you. They're bringing people from everywhere, it seems like. It seems like they got 13, 14 kids on the field. And that's what they've given us problems in the past. But they'll play us in a man situation. They'll play a lot of man coverage. And they do that because they can bring a lot of people. They're a good football team. Don't let Lancaster 47-10 fool you. You know, I'm pretty sure Coach Mayer told you they just didn't show up to play last week. I know what this team's got. I've seen them on film a lot against a lot of good teams. They're a good football team.
What do you expect from the Warriors defense?
Just, you know, like I said a while ago, they're going to bring everybody. They're going to bring 6, 7 people. They're going to cover you in man. Well, they're just trying to disrupt a lot of things you're doing offensively. And our offense is made on timing. I mean, we just, you know, we're an option team. We like to throw the football. You know, if they can disrupt timing, we're going to be in trouble.
A lot of these Indian Land Buford games always seem to come down to some kind of crazy play. Maybe it's special teams, maybe it's a turnover somewhere. How do you kind of get your guys' mind right to make that winning play when it happens?
You know, we practice stuff like that every day. We do a 2-minute drill where we go down and we're on offense and we're driving and we score and if we're kicking field goals and then we put you on defense, you got to stop and you know you try to practice for that stuff. But when you got, you know, I'm just going out on a limb, probably about 2,000 people yelling. It's different. It's different. You know that. And in the past, we've taken Indian Land's theme song and we blared it over the loudspeaker and just try to give that setting to our guys. I had a player this week say, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "Nah, we're gonna focus on beating these guys. I'm not worrying about that noise. We just focus on beating these guys." But it has, you know, we beat them at our place 2 years ago by a point on a last-second field goal. First game last year, they beat us by a point on a last-second field goal. So this is the kind of rival games you like. This is the stuff, and if you like to see that type of game come out Friday night, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a good game.
What do you expect from your offense this week?
We got to control the football. We got to win up front. We're going to have to run the ball well. And then when we do throw it, we got to throw it well. We got to have completions. Our biggest thing is to control the ball and try to keep their offense off the field. Because I do think they're the type of offense that can score on us every time they get the football. So we're going to have to score a lot. You know, we're going to have to just control the ball and do what we do pretty much.
When you talk about trying to stop the run against a team like Indian Land, what are some of the things you got to really drive home to your guys this week in practice?
Tackling. I mean, we've been not a very good team tackling wise, and we work just like people don't think we work on this every week. We do. We work on it every single day. Now that's the biggest thing. Against Indian Land in the past, we've had trouble tackling their big backs. They didn't necessarily don't have that big back this year. So we got to wrap up, make sure we get them to the ground, drive our feet, gain tackling, make sure everybody's to the football, and you know play better technique-wise, especially up front, because that's where they've been able to beat us is up front.
Who are the defensive players for Indian Land to watch out for?
Up front, they got a defensive lineman, 63. I can't think of his name. Pretty big kid. You know, we're going to have to stay on him a good bit and block him. 49, the middle linebacker, is pretty decent. He comes a lot. 11, in my opinion, is probably their best corner. And then their safety, he's a young buck, 36 or 26. The numbers are not ringing right now, but he's pretty good. He stays deep. He doesn't let anything behind him much. And then he flies up and we see his run. So, you know, our biggest thing is we can sell our play action. Maybe he flies up and we catch him on something. But we'll have to see Friday.
Real quick before we leave, tell us why it's important to come out and support the Yellow Jackets.
It's going to be a big game. It's a big game. It's a chance for Buford to go 2-0, and this hadn't happened in a while. You know, it's a rival game. We need all the people we can. And then after the game on Friday, we're having a kids camp on Saturday morning. So if any kids want to come out to our camp, more than welcome to.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, Indian Land's Mike Mayer shows his view on his Warriors. 47-10 loss to Lancaster. We'll be right back.
Everybody say schoolwork, keep going.
Books, paper, pencil.
Schoolwork. Want to stay tighter, but I still do my schoolwork. Staying up late, but I still do my schoolwork.
Always on my grind, but I still do my schoolwork. Got 2 jobs, but I still do my schoolwork. I play the sax, but I still do my schoolwork.
Going to the Navy, but I still do my schoolwork.
I'm a track star, but I still do my schoolwork. Graduating soon, but I still do my schoolwork.
Work.
Schoolwork.
Yay! Woo! Yes!
Hey, Josh.
Books, pencils, paper.
Hang out with my friend, but I still do my schoolwork.
I like to shop, but I still do my
Schoolwork. I'm a band geek, but I still do my
schoolwork.
I got a job, but I still do my schoolwork.
Talk too much, but I still do my
Schoolwork.
Indian Land had 2 firsts Friday night. The Warriors took the field for the first time in the school's history as a Class 3A team, and the Warriors were playing the Lancaster Bruins for the first time in a regular season varsity football game. I'm sure Coach Mike Mayer wasn't pleased with the way the historic night began, as Lancaster scored on the 3rd play of the game and scored on its next 2 possessions. But Indian Land rallied to cut the Bruin lead to 21-10, and it looked like the Warriors might come roaring back. But the Class 4A Bruins just had too much speed and too much depth, and Indian Land fell 47-10. Joining me is the Playbook's Coda Fontaine to get Indian Land coach Mike Mayer's take on the historic game. Welcome to the show, Coach. 124 total yards of offense Friday night, but it's a tough Lancaster team with a good defense. Talk about your offense and some of the things you got to do to.
We stink. You know, we're a better football team than what we showed Friday night. We cheated ourselves, we cheated our fans, we cheated Lancaster out of a better game. Lancaster's a very good football team. They were a better team Friday night. They're better than us this year. No argument there. Don't want to take anything away from those kids. But we're a better football team. You know, the score shouldn't have been as lopsided as it was. We did a lot of dumb things on both sides of the ball. We didn't block well. We didn't tackle well. We were lined up wrong several times. I mean, you know, but Lancaster beat us up front, offensive line, defensive line. I mean, they wore us out up front. Their kids were bigger. Their kids were stronger. They had some more depth. And, you know, playing Lancaster is, you know, it's kind of like a boxing match where there's no blows to the head. It's all body blows. I mean, it was like taking body blows in a sandstorm. You couldn't see what was coming, but you knew you was going to get hit in the stomach again over and over. And they do a good job with what they do. You know, Foster's a really good running back. Quarterback made some plays, didn't anticipate on him making. He made a couple of deep throws that we hadn't seen on film. And, you know, their defense is very underrated from what you're seeing. You know, knew they had a lot of kids coming back. But their defense is very, very underrated in my opinion.
All right. You're 8 for 24, passing for 76 yards. Tell us what happened with your passing Friday night. What will you do during practice this week to get your passes right?
See, David Lockery was 8 for 19, so he was 1 under 50% on his passing. We had a couple of drops. Had a big drop on 3rd down early on in the first possession. Could have got something going. We're a notoriously slow starting team. I mean, we have been in all of our scrimmages. I mean, it's like we have to go out and fall behind 7-0 before we decide to play. Not real sure how to fix that. That's just part of the personality of this team at this point. But, you know, right now we're throwing the ball much better than we're running the ball this season, and that's highly unusual for us because we've always been a run-first team.
141 yards in penalties. I know that's one of those things.
Yeah, we had a penalty every time they did. I wasn't pleased with the officiating crew, and let's just leave it at that. You know, we did. We had some stupid penalties. We had some people, you know, just make some bad mistakes at inopportune times. But you know, it was a sloppy game. We hadn't been penalized that much in the whole preseason. So, you know, whether it was first game jitters or what, we didn't execute very well. I mean, you know, we pretty well stunk it up.
You know, you had 2 turnovers Friday night. It's got to be a tough spot for you. Tell us how you feel about your team's protecting the ball.
Well, the 2 turnovers were 2 interceptions. Both of them were in the second half. Kind of inconsequential as far as the score goes, but you know, one of them was on a tip ball that should have been caught. So, you know, like I said, just execution was horrible. And we got to get better in a lot of areas this week. I mean, we got to make some improvements because Buford's coming in this week, and Buford's going to play their tails off against us. It's Indian Land Buford is like the Super Bowl for those guys. I mean, don't matter what they did or what their record is, they're going to come in, they're going to play their tails off. Every year the names and numbers have changed a little bit, but the enthusiasm and the passion in the game doesn't. So, we're going to have to be ready to play. We're going to have to execute better.
For sure. You already talked a little bit about your rushing, 48 yards, not where you want
We
to be.
couldn't block a soul. Our highest grade on the offensive line was Jake Locklear at 61%. And, when your best offensive lineman or your highest offensive line grade is 61%, it's just a tough night all over. I mean, we couldn't block them up front. They were just better than us, and they kicked our tails.
Your running back, Tyree Sister, scored on a one-yard run, reducing the score to 21-10. Tell us about that play.
I just opened up. I mean, it was one of the few plays we actually blocked correctly. We had a couple good drives there in the second quarter. The thing that's probably most disappointing about the game as a whole was we've been playing Lancaster in the Jamboree for, 14, 15 years. And, granted it's a half versus a whole game, but we didn't play that half. It's always, our kids have always been up and taking it as a challenge. And, we've always played up to Lancaster. Last 2 years in the Jamborees, we've had a chance to either tie or win. And granted, it's for a half, not a whole game, but we just didn't play that half Friday night. We came out and started slow, and Lancaster came out and, acted like they've been there, done that, and they acted like they're the good football team that they are. And, we didn't act like the good football team that we are. I think we're much better than we are. The previous week we beat Parkwood in the Jamboree. Same week we had Airport at our place for a scrimmage. Airport's ranked in the top 10 in 4A, and we went tit for tat with Airport. We just didn't have it. Whatever it was, we've got to come out of the locker room ready to play on Friday night. That's the biggest worry for this next week.
Speaking of next week, you got Buford, of course. You already talked a little bit about them. They beat Franklin Christian. If you had a chance to watch the tape there and see what you're going to be dealing with the Yellow Jackets?
Yeah, it's Buford. They're running the same offense, same defense. They've been a 4-4 team on defense since the dawn of time, I think. There's always one safety. They do stunt a lot. They're stunting more this year, and they stunted a good bit last year, but they like to stunt on defense. Offensively, they're still in the spread. They're still running some read option stuff out of there. So, we have to be well coached on our option responsibilities with that. Like I said, a lot of names and numbers may have changed, but the intensity of the game is going to be the same when it gets there. I mean, we've got to be ready to play. We've got to step out of that locker room ready to play, and we didn't do it this past Friday. And mentally, psychologically, whatever you want to call it, that's as big a concern of mine as far as anything goes. That's probably a bigger concern than the X's or the O's. I mean, they talk about, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes that matter when it comes to Friday night.
Yeah, and bringing it back to Friday night, your kicker came through for you.
Sophomore Brandon Dickerson had a good night for us. He's first time kicking in a varsity game, had a field goal, made his extra point, had some good kickoffs for us, did a good job punting the ball. Had a kind of bad snap, seemed much worse on punts, but he handled a snap that was less than perfect on one of the punts, got the ball out of there and changed field position. He had a very good night for us. He had a good night. I thought that our freshman corner, A.J. Jefferson, had a really good night for us. He graded 80% on defense. So, we had a lot of young guys stepping up Friday night and playing well. It's one of those nights, you look back, we had a couple of good individual plays here and there. We had probably 3 really good offensive drives during the game, but it was just an overall lack of consistency. I mean, we made a couple stops on defense. We stopped them on 4th down. We made them punt. And when they punted, the snap got away from the punter. I mean, it's like, hey, if we could have made them punt a few more times, we probably could have got a cheap one, but we didn't. It's just one of those games, as you watch the film, you get real frustrated because you see, oh, that's a really good play, and then you see 3 more plays, you're like, oh my God, that's just awful, So you can see the kids do it one time, you just can't see them do it every time, and you know, it's a week earlier than what we're used to playing, but you know, my philosophy is no excuses and no regrets. You know, that's the way we have to go at it. It is what it is. We're 0-1, but you know, we got the same record as Dillon and Northwestern. They were the only two teams that went undefeated in the state last year, so they're a pretty good ball club. So we can be a pretty good ball club at 0-1. We just got to keep our head up and grind away this week, because it's a big game coming this next week, and we hope that, you know, we get a lot of people from Indian Land and Buford to fill the stands.
Yeah. Coach, you're going to face a Buford offense coming off a good week against Franklin Christian. Talk about some of the things they can do and what you're going to need to execute to stop that attack.
Well, they certainly have a little more variety than Lancaster did. You know, they run a triple option threat, a read option threat, so we're going to have to play some responsibility defense. You know, that'll slow down some of the stunting and stuff that we do. They also throw the ball a lot more and a lot better than what Lancaster did, you know, as far as more consistent. Lancaster hurt us with some big plays over the top that happened on, you know, busted plays where the quarterback scrambled around, threw the ball deep. Buford, you know, tends to execute a little better on some short passing game, more consistent stuff, so we're going to have to work on that.
You know, in the past, you've opened your season against Buford. How will playing them in the second game of the season change how you prepare?
None. I mean, this is when we're supposed to play. I mean, we're playing a week early this year just because that's the way the schedule fell.
I know you've already talked about a lot of things you need to do to improve, but what are some of the things you think, maybe 3 things you really need to focus on to get this win against Buford next week?
Blocking and tackling, the fundamentals. And the other thing is we have to understand, you know, it's not about Buford. It's about us. We control what we do. You know, I like our kids. I think we've got a good football team. I think we've got good chemistry. When we're on and we're playing and we're executing, you know, I have no hesitation to play Mallard Creek or Northwestern. I'll put them, you know, I ain't saying we'll beat them every time, but, you know, we'll go on the field with them. We'll hold our own. But when we're not executing and our head's not screwed on right, you know, we have some problems, kind of like what you saw Friday night. So, you know, we're going to work on the fundamentals and the basics, and we're also going to work on, you know, trying to be mentally prepared to play this game. We can't get caught up in the rivalry and in the hype and in the start of school. And, you know, last week we had to dodge the lightning and the weather and stuff. So, you know, can't let anything be a distraction. We got to focus on the things we can control and, you know, do what we do best. It's do what we do. We control what we do, nobody else.
Well, Coach, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure as always.
When we return, Coach Joe Watson gives his view of the Bruin 1. Stay put.
Everybody say schoolwork, keep it going. Books, paper, pencils, schoolwork.
I hang out with my friends, but I still do my
Schoolwork. I like to shop, but I still do my schoolwork.
I'm a band geek, but I still do my
Schoolwork. I got a job, but I still do my schoolwork.
Talk too much, but I still do my
Schoolwork. Work hard, play hard, still do my schoolwork.
Don't turn up because I'm focused on my
schoolwork. I'm the other white guy, you know I do my
Schoolwork.
Work. Schoolwork.
Work.
Schoolwork.
It's not about being black.
It's not about being white.
'Cause we're human.
Lancaster's offense racked up 441 yards against Indian Land last Friday night, powered by the play of running back Ant Foster, wide receiver Cordarius Tinsley, and quarterback Jemiah Shropshire. And the Bruin defense gathered in 2 interceptions and held the Warriors just 124 yards of total offense. Those numbers added up to a 47-10 victory for the Bruins over Indian Land. Joining me is the Playbook's Nathan Lowry and Coach Joe Watson with the breakdown of the game. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the atmosphere a little bit Friday night. The first ever meeting in the regular season between the Lancaster Bruins and the Indian Land Warriors. Talk about what you saw from the fans and from both squads at this game.
Just taking a glance in the stands, it was getting full right or way before kickoff during pregame. You know, great atmosphere on Friday night for 2 schools that had never played before, and I hope to be able to continue. Hope we can continue the rivalry or start a rivalry. Yeah, I thought it was wonderful for Friday night, man. No place else would be.
Perfect.
Your offense rolled up 441 yards in total offense with 246 yards rushing and 195 yards passing. Talk about the balance of your offense.
Well, that's our ultimate goal. Coaching offensive line, we got to be able to do both run block and pass protect. But you know, we lean real heavy on those two senior running backs that we got, Ant and Frye, and Jemias does a good job of just leading us. And so that's our ultimate goal, is to be able to run the football and then take what they give us in the passing game.
Well, it was a great night for both those guys. Ant Foster had 160 yards on 19 carries. Frye 80 yards on 17 carries, 246 yards total rushing. Talk about a little bit more about those guys, and of course your offensive line. I'm sure you're proud of being an offensive line coach.
There's some stuff we got to clean up front with the big guys, but overall I thought they did a real good job. Ant just comes to work every day with his lunch pail. He's gonna get it done on Friday nights for us. Farika's a hard runner for us as well, and like I said, Truck just manages our offense. Jemias just manages the offense for us and puts us in good situations. And as long as we can continue to do that, we're gonna get a bunch of W's in that side of the column.
Talk a little about some of your offensive linemen. Are there any guys you really lean on, or really, especially in that running game?
Well, we of the 5, we have one senior starter, and that's Kendarius Thompson, and he's a starter at right guard for us. The rest of them are either sophomores or juniors, and so you know we get them all back except for Kimbo, and we got a guy that's right there behind him, pushing him for a spot. So, you know, we feel comfortable with those guys, and they're learning every day and getting a lot better every day. So as long as we continue to grow and get better and move forward, we're going to be all right.
Excellent.
You also had 195 yards passing, and Cordarius Tinsley had 5 catches for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. Talk to us about your play with Jemias Shropshire, your quarterback, and about your wide receiver.
Well, T's just an excellent player. He works up here at the Rice Building on the weekends. He comes up and catches balls. He's a good leader for our program. He's the example of how to do it the right way. And there's some people out there talking to him. And so hopefully at the end of the year, you know, he gets that next opportunity to play at the next level. But T does a good job of getting open and running good routes for us. And so, you know, when you're open, it's hard not to hit him. And Jemias did a good job scrambling, keeping plays alive a couple of times when we had breakdowns up front, and was able to find, I think T had a couple of touchdown catches, and Jaquan Stover had a touchdown catch for us. So those guys do a good job of just finding the open area to get seen, and Truck deliver the football. We'll make the catch.
Talk about what that does for your offense, having 2 running backs that can run the ball, a quarterback that can run the ball and make good decisions, and just the balance and what that enables you to do.
Yeah, definitely. When you can run the football like we want to run it, that's going to open up the passing game, because people are going to try and load the box up and stop the run, especially when you got 2 of them. And then you got Truck back there as a 3-headed monster. So, you know, you're going to get 8 and 9 people in the box, and so with that many in that small little circle, we're going to be able to find somebody that's open. Creates mismatches out there for us.
Indiana only had 48 yards rushing. C.D. Cato and Maliko Rosenborough both had interceptions. This was a defense that you returned a lot of starters, had a great year last year. Is this business as usual? Or? Yeah,
Coach Surratt's over there. Coach Surratt, Coach Brown, Coach Boyd, Coach Mack coaching the DBs now. They demand excellence, and we don't move on until we get it right. And sometimes, you know, as an offensive coach, I'm looking at the script trying to get to the next play, and we're fixing mistakes that obviously need to be fixed for us to be able to do what we do in 2 years, well, a year and a game. So, you know, Coach Surratt and that group, his defensive staff with Coach Brown and them guys, they do an excellent job. I would tell anybody that there's those Coach Brown and Coach Surratt, I would not want to try and game plan against those guys, because you have no idea what they're doing, what they're going to do.
Nice. Indiana only managed 76 yards through the air. Talk to us about the play of your secondary.
Well, again, those guys are coached well. Coach Mack does an excellent job in the secondary for us. He came from the Charlotte area, so he's new to our staff, but the kids have taken to him, and he, like I said, he does a real good job back there with them and just coaching them up, making them understand the concepts of what routes are run, what combo routes can be run in certain sets. So,
Indiana only scored 1 touchdown in the game in the second quarter. Talk about how that affects you as an offensive coach when you have a defense that can really keep you on the field and then let your guys do what they do.
Right. Well, with the defense, with the touchdown that was given up, Indian Land did a real good job of just moving the football down the field on us. Take nothing away from them. They were prepared, and Coach Mayer does a real good job with his kids and his staff up there. But as far as with the defense getting, we get a chance to make corrections. They go 3 and out. We get a chance to keep the football. I think we had it for 8 minutes one time Friday night. So, if we can continue to keep the ball 8 minutes, that defense is going to be fresh to come out there and go 3 and out and put us back on the field.
Definitely.
So.
Now, you had 58 yards in penalties. Now, talk to us about your penalties this Friday night.
Yeah, the penalties were just something that I think everybody is growing pains in the first 1 or 2 ball games. And I know when we came out of the gate on the first play and Jemias had a run pass option and read it well and come out the back door, and we had a holding penalty that he scored on, so we left 1 on the field right there. And that was frustrating because I didn't see the penalty, but we never do as coaches, Mm-hmm. So we just clean it up and go back to work.
Well, you have an off week next week. What's your opinion about having an off week this early in the season?
I guess to quote some of those coaches, that it is what it is, right? But I'd much rather have it later on in the year. But like I said, it is what it is when we got to find games to play. So.
Take us through what you actually do through this week of practice.
Well, this week this is my 12th year here, and this is the first time we've had an off week that we have to just prepare ourselves. So basically, what we're going to do is go back to the drawing board, make sure we fine tune everything we do, and get us better. Because if we're doing what we're supposed to do, it really, whoever's on the other side, if we continue to do what we're supposed to do, we'll be okay. So that's basically go back to the basics and make sure we're doing every little thing possible to get better.
We talked about the penalties already. You also had 1 turnover in last week's game. How do you try to focus on those little tangible mistakes that you're making?
Well, this week, it comes at a good time, I guess, if there is one, so that we can go back and clean those up. We do ball handling drills every day, so we'll just continue to work on those and hopefully we cut down on that 1 turnover.
How about Friday night? What will you and the coaches do, and what are your players going to do?
Well, hopefully the players will go watch somebody here local and get out the house and, do the right thing. That's what we preach every day. Coach Collins does a wonderful job of just, keeping your nose clean, and that the community is looking no matter where you are. They know you're a football player. So as far as the coaching staff, we're going to continue to look at the things that we did all week from Friday night, start looking a little bit at Fort Mill, who we play in 2 Fridays, and maybe go watch them. I'm not real sure yet. Yeah.
Nice. Any injuries from Friday or from the summer that are you getting?
No, we came out healthy, which is a good thing. We've been fortunate. Not jamborees and first week we were healthy, so we're going into week 3 healthy. So that's a good thing for us.
This summer, talk about the trip you took. You got your Alabama shirt on.
Yeah, just how about that?
Y'all got to go to Alabama this year and then Florida State last year. Talk about those trips and what they did for your program and for some of the players.
Right. Well, Coach Collins, when he was before he came down, it's something he did at his old school, and so when he came, the first trip was to Florida State, which is a great learning experience for us and as coaches and the kids who'd never been to any place like that. And then this past summer we went to Alabama, and it's just unbelievable at that, with our kids that aspire to be at that level, they get to see what it's about and how those guys practice. And so, yeah, team chemistry, team bonding, that kind of stuff is all wrapped into those two trips. And I just, hopefully we're going to get on the bus and go somewhere else next summer.
Yeah. So when y'all go out to these trips, what do you think that these benefits are for your players when they go off?
Oh, just seeing what it's like and what it takes to get to that level. And then also, the chemistry part that, when you're 3-4 days away from mom and daddy and the only person you got is that roommate and us coaches, you're going to lean on them and hopefully, that's just that building that brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of feel players kind of try to take it more seriously? I imagine being on that stage, kind of, or not on that stage, but you know, around those guys that really they do it for a living, and
Right.
these are kids that are getting paid, or not paid, but
Scholarship-wise.
scholarship-wise.
Yeah, yeah.
They're getting free school
Yeah.
to do what they do. Can you feel some of those guys taking it a little more seriously?
Yeah, we got kids taking ownership of what they do now and holding other guys accountable. And so that's the biggest thing. When kids start holding kids or players start holding players accountable, that's when you know you've turned the corner. And hopefully we're right there turning the corner. So.
Was there anything that you would like to add about the off night or the team?
No, I just, I hope they enjoy the week or Friday night off, because it's going to be the only one for a long, long time, hopefully. Hopefully.
Now we all do some scouting this Friday
I will
night?
probably go somewhere. I don't know. We hadn't sat down as a staff yet and got that determination, but possibly we'll be out there.
Thank you for being here, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Right after these messages, we'll run down next week's matchups, and so stay tuned.
Where's my homework?
I don't have it.
You need to have it.
I'm sorry.
I have to go to
I
class.
forgot to do it.
Where's my homework?
I don't have it.
Well, you need to have it.
Really?
Day.
I know that, but I forgot. Just gonna let me get bullied like that?
It ain't none of my business.
Don't have
You
it.
need to do it right now then.
No, look, I don't have it.
Well, you need to have it.
I'm sorry, I can't today.
Where's my homework?
I don't have it. Really?
Yes.
Have my book. Just gonna let me get bullied too. Don't have it. I done told you this.
If you don't have my homework, you know what's going to happen to you?
What's that?
Where's my homework?
I do not have it.
Well, you need to have it.
I'm sorry, but I can't.
Wow.
Because I don't have time to do it today.
Where's my homework?
I do not have it.
Well,
Hey, you need to leave Josh alone and do your own homework.
And who are you?
I'm not them.
I don't have time for this.
It takes 10 seconds to not be a bystander and stop bullying. You good, man?
Yeah, I'm straight.
Week 2 of the 2016 football campaign gets underway Friday night. Andrew Jackson travels to Aner. The Blue Jackets opened the season last week with a 22-14 win over Marion. Buford heads to Indianland to take on the Warriors. The Warriors are coming off that tough 47-10 loss to Lancaster last week, and Buford will be looking to go 2-0 after its 35-6 win over Franklin Christian. And Lancaster has Friday night off.
That's all the time we have for this week's Playbook. If you have comments or suggestions for our show, you can contact us at the address on the screen or email us at learntv@comporium.net. We hope you all go and support your team this Friday night, and we hope you'll join us for next week for the Playbook.